I asked when, and I can tell she's holding back.
Honey, I don't know. I was downstairs on the computer.
I have a feeling I said things that should embarrass me.
If you did, I'd know about it.
But when we get to the line through, I want to push through it. But then I want to go back and see how much pace it is that we can actually take our time with it when we put it back together. Because somewhere between what you just did and way back where we've been real plotting is where we need to be. The idea of coming back and running a professional theater in Cincinnati, never thought it would happen. The last 5 years has been a terrifically positive explosion for this theater to make its mark on the national scene and to make a very, very big difference locally.
Ensemble Theatre faced two enormous challenges in 1997 when Lynn Meyers came on as managing director. First was a 7-figure debt, and the second was its home in a crime-addled Over-the-Rhine. Today, both Ensemble Theatre and Lower Over-the-Rhine are revitalized, and the armed guard who once served primarily for security in front of the theater is now a concierge. On the eve of the company's new show, Rapture, Blister, Burn, we'll meet Lynn Meyers and other insiders who feel vindicated for their faith in Ensemble Theatre and the neighborhood.
When 2001 happened and the quote-unquote riots and the unrest happened, the policemen took us out under armed guard for our own safety. So fighting our way back into this building and fighting our way up from '01 to get patrons to come, that's been an amazing journey. So we've gone from an armed guard to someone who's a welcome mat. I was actually hired to decide whether or not to give a recommendation to the board whether that they should stay open or close. And with $1 million in unsecured debt, this theater was very close to closing. The desire to keep it open, however, from the people who founded it and from the board was strong. My desire was strong, and so we did it a show at a time. And in 7 years, we paid off that debt, and now the ensemble is not only debt-free, but owns 40% of the block we sit on Vine Street.
I didn't think you'd leave your job and run home to me.
It's a sabbatical. I didn't quit.
You know, I was fine when my mother died. I was very briefly sad, but then it was like a great burden had lifted. You know what they say, your life begins when your mother dies.
Who says that? That's horrible.
Well, I heard it from my mother, but other people have said it.
Lynn and I joke about the time we were having a meeting, and Jackie Demeline, who was the critic at the time, was on the phone, and she had 2 stories prepared. One would have our season, and the other would have an announcement of our bankruptcy. And we had to tell her which one it would be by the end of the meeting. That, I think, we will both say was the most horrible experience both of us had.
I thought I could do it because I didn't think there was another option. The only other option was to close, and I didn't think that was an option. But I also had faith in the neighborhood, and I felt like I had a joint responsibility.
Back in the dark ages before the internet, there was telephone sex lines. Men would pay 30 cents a minute to talk dirty with women who were called phone sex workers.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Rapture, Blister, Burn was a Pulitzer finalist. It deals with what happened to the women's movement when you have 3 generations in conflict over one particular summer. It talks about the women's movement in a very personal way, and that fits our audience terrifically. I think 10 years ago I would be more worried about maybe a little bit of subject matter and language that's now on our stage, because now I have a broader audience that I can actually entice to say, trust me.
Probably not good, from a career standpoint, but artistically speaking, if I could work every show here, I'd be satisfied, because you know what you're going to get, you know who you're working with, you know it's going to be great, and people are going to see it.
I think we've accomplished everything we can accomplish artistically. It's the financial end that I think could be improved, not the artistic end.
This theater used to spend 10% of its operating budget on security. That's an interesting statistic. It also had 400 subscribers at the time, and now we have over 2,000 subscribers. So there's been a massive change. It's just taken a long time to get there.